on the program. Let's begin tonight by letting you know what the organized labor, is up to. The Nigerian Labour Congress, especially the NLC, has declared a 2-day warning strike beginning on Tuesday, the 5th of September, in protest of what they say is the federal government's failure to address the challenges caused by the removal of fuel subsidy. The NLC president, Mr. Joe Ajaero, made the declaration today at a press conference in Abuja, where they were reading out the reasons why they will be going under a 2-day warning strike, especially based on the resolutions by the NLC National Executive Committee meeting, which was held yesterday. The Labour Union is accusing the federal government of abandoning the negotiations and failing to implement some of the resolutions from previous meetings with the government.
NEC in session resolved as follows: to embark on a total and indefinite shutdown of the nation within 14 working days or 21 days from today until steps are taken by the government to address the excruciating mass suffering and the impoverishment being experienced around the country. To commence a 2-day nationwide warning strike on Tuesday and Wednesday, 5th and 6th of September 2023, to demonstrate our readiness for the indefinite strike later in the month.
Let's get some more details of this plan and how the NLC hope to achieve this, what it means for the Nigerian people, how much of a message it will be for the Tinubu government, and the impact this may have on the polity. I'm being joined by the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Mr. Joe Ajaero, who joins us virtually from Abuja. Thank you so much, Mr. Ajaero, for joining us tonight. It does look like a new twist to the engagement between Labour and the federal government. Does it look like things are broken down between both parties in terms of the negotiation that you have entered into in the past weeks?
You will recall that after our nationwide protest, there were promises from the National Assembly that asked for 1 week. And after a meeting one-on-one with Mr. President, for him to restructure the team, negotiating for government. Between that time and now, no communication. So you can see that negotiation has not even commenced, talk less of, breaking down. So that's where we are. There's no communication. Nobody talks to us. There seems to be a monologue. We are talking to ourselves and they are talking to themselves. We can't continue this way 3 months after the removal of fuel subsidy and the excruciating effect of this policy to Nigerians.
So I thought that there were supposed to be some consultations, some committees are supposed to meet and look at the way forward. Is it that they're not talking to you at all, or you just feel that there is a stalling on the side of the federal government?
There were committees set up at inception when we wanted to embark on a strike. The committees couldn't meet for almost 6 weeks when we started pressing on the issue for us to do a nationwide rally for Nigerians to know, that nothing is happening. So before that rally, there were attempts for the committee to hold meetings with us. In 2 very occasions, there was no seriousness attached to the meeting. And it was at that point that we asked that, the composition of the committee should be enhanced so that people who are not too busy with state matters, could take part in the committee, especially on part of the government. And it was on that basis that we equally met with the Senate President, we met with President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and between that time and now, no communication. That is the true situation.
Now, you have decided to go on a 2-day warning strike, but you have also hinted that there will be an indefinite strike action later in the month. This is in view of the court, the federal government going to the industrial court to stop the Nigerian labor from doing any of such.
Well, I don't think the the matter has anything to do with court. The 2 days action are in 2 prongs. The first point there is the takeover of the National Secretariat of the National Union of Road Transport Employees by people, claiming that they have authority of the villa to take over the leadership. And to us in the trade union movement, it is unfortunate. It is even worse than, the coup in Niger, for you to violently use the police to take over, an elected government of an industrial union. And we have given the police 48 hours to pull out and allow the union to resolve their crisis, or the NLC, which is the umbrella union, or even other organs, Ministry of Labor, or all the organs set by law to take care of it and not the police. That is the first step. And the second step is, towards the industrial action over the issue of refusal of the state to engage labor and to solve the problem and the continued suffering of Nigerian workers, to give it as a signal. We have given a long, notice up to the middle of, towards the 3rd week of September, but towards that end, we had to give a signal, a warning signal, that after this period, we are going to embark on an action, and we're going to express that right, of a worker to wake up and say he will not go to work. It's a right that you can legislate into existence or out of existence, that people have the right to work or not to work. So we'll express it, from the way you are saying, we'll find out whether anybody who decides not to go to work will be arrested or will be imprisoned.
Well, let's look at it this way. Now, so with all what the federal government says it is doing, for example, 5 billion naira has been earmarked. The Minister of Finance today has said 2 billion out of that money has been disbursed already. Is the Labour okay with that arrangement? And they're saying more is to come.
What is that 5 billion naira for? Is it for what? Is it for... We don't have information. When the federal government is giving allocation to state governments, on and on. So how does that concern us? The federal government continued allocation to states, whether it's 5 billion, whether it's 10 billion, how does that concern labor? Is there any agreement around that for what it is meant for?
One will imagine, Mr. Jairo, that your members are all over the country and they will benefit from the disbursement of this money.
How are they going to benefit? In a state where you have 3 million people, and you send 5 billion naira, do you think anybody can get 1,000 naira? I don't think we should be bothered with that calculation. It doesn't add water. Even if you have to take it to give it to the poor. And the National Bureau of Statistics have said that 133 million Nigerians are multidimensionally poor in Nigeria. So you calculate 185 billion and you release to them and give them maybe 1,300. Is that what you are talking? Is that how the Nigerian state looks at its citizens?
But look at it this way. So clarify for us. Is it that you do not trust the state government, or you think that that money that was earmarked is insufficient, or that the idea of the palliative is totally out of place? What exactly is the point of labor?
That money is not for us. We are negotiating with government. We are trying to look at the effects, of the subsidy removal. And we have not arrived on 5 billion for you to share 1,000 to people. If government is giving money to the state governors for them to share, that's not within the mandate we have in terms of negotiating with the Nigerian government or the committee they have set up. And you should be aware that almost on a monthly basis, government is sending money to state governments. So we should not bother ourselves with this issue of they gave state governors 5 billion. Is 5 billion for palliative? Is 5 billion for who? How around will 5 million go? Is it shared populism?
So Mr. Ajaro, from the labor point of view, that 5 billion is not non-issue. That 5 billion is out of place. Is that the stance of labor?
That 5 billion, we don't know what it's all about.
You do not agree with the 5 billion. You do not think that the federal government should disburse it at all.
the federal government and the governor discussed about the 5 billion and they have given to them. To us as Labour, there was no conversation around 5 billion on what it is meant for. So we can't even pay any state governor that decides to fix it in a fixed deposit account.
So let me ask you, Mr. Ajaero, with what is on the ground right now as far as the palliative measures, subsidy regime, and what is the position of Labour? Have you agreed that it's okay for the federal government to remove it? Are you on the same page with the federal government?
Well, you are in this country that there was no consultation around that, but federal government has removed it. So it's not a question of whether we agreed or not, because we never agreed to that. You know, that any country should run without subsidizing the life of people in whatever guise, whether it is farmers, whether it is the energy or whatever. But they have done it. And when you do it, you don't reduce us to mere tokenism, maybe give us 10,000 for 3 months and leave people to die. You know, that's not the issue. You know, we have to sit down and look at some measures, you know, that will cushion the effect or that will substitute the suffering, you know, of Nigerians. So by the time you say you are giving state governors 5 billion, what does that translate to?
Mr. President, give us an understanding of Labour's own way of going about this. What is your own blueprint in handling these cases? Because it doesn't look like the federal government is capable. It doesn't look like the federal government is doing the right thing. It doesn't look like the federal government is knowledgeable enough in the eye of Labour in handling this situation. That is what it appears to be from the position of the Labour. Is that it? And what will be the Labour's own blueprint in handling this situation?
John, let's look at this way. You know, like I said, if we share that 5 billion, or even the 5 trucks of rice or grain, many people may not get 1 cup or half cup of rice. If you share the 5 billion, many people, probably within the working class, or the people who are the poor of the poor, the poorest of the poor, the wretched of the earth, many people may not get 1,500. Now, is that the palliative? But if you take this money, and then like some of the suggestions we are looking at, like the CNG, you know, gas, and we get buses in the states. I'm just giving you an example because of the question you asked. You get maybe in every state, maybe 100 buses. For every day, a worker moves from his house to the office and comes back with a reduced transportation rate, he may save 1,000 naira daily. And if he tries that for 28 days or even 20 days, he may be saving about 20,000 on transportation alone. That's a policy. And then that will help even the farmer, you know, who moves his goods and services from one point to the other. This time around, we are no longer talking of workers alone. We are talking of an action taken by the Nigerian state to reduce the excruciating effect of the subsidy removal. That alone. And by the time you do it nationwide, with these vehicles that their prices have been reduced to a barest minimum, you will see that people can move from one place to the other and fend for themselves. Not up to 20 million Nigerians are even on government-paid employment. Other people in the public sector, in the private sector, other people in the informal sector, how are they going to benefit? You know, and these are some of the areas who can meet and converse around it. That's why we are saying, even the fact that some governors are saying that it is a loan. If it is a loan to the governors, some of them may not bother to take such loan. So that is the situation. There are various ways we could have conversed, and every Nigerian, it will impact on them. We can look at even the issue of conversion for people that use private vehicles. And when they convert their vehicles, those that fill their tanks with 40,000 at a go will be filling it by 20,000 at a go. And then they will be saving close to 20,000. And not where somebody will give you 1,000 or 1,500. We can think, we can converse around these issues. We can think outside the box. But when people appropriate to themselves a monopoly of knowledge, then those are the kind of challenges we are going to continue. When we have institutionalized the attitude of sharing money, you know, then that's where we are.
Mr. Jero, so let's bring this home quickly. Now, for the interest of the Nigerian people, what will be right in your own view that the government must, because a warning strike means if you do not do this, we will go ahead to go on a full scale. It means that labor will go on the streets, if I'm right, and you will shut down every aspect of the Nigerian economy where your members are handling. That to me looks like an extreme situation. You will do that for 2 days, and if the government is not listening, you will do that indefinitely. Is that what is happening? Now, if that is the case, that means that adding to the worrying state of the economy, you are shutting down the polity.
Well, I don't understand what you mean by extreme case. I will expect channels not to, air anything on that day as a mark of protest to what is happening, to protest the effect on channels, to protest the effect on the workers, of such areas. That is what we are going to do. We are going to consider whether we'll be on the streets, like you mentioned, or whether we should be in our houses. Even in the NLC office, from even today, none of us will be around because we can't come to work. And we have been experiencing this for a very long time. People cannot live from one place to the other. So on that day, it's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be a symbol that this is a day, that we couldn't afford to go to work, no matter what we are paid. And these 2 days is going to be so. So I don't know what you mean by extreme situation in this regard.
So what I mean, when you're suggesting that channels will, the channels television is in solidarity with the Nigerian people. And we've always done that. We're on the side of the people. And of course, we always constitutionally take the plight of the Nigerian people to the government and hold government accountable. That has been the fulcrum of our operations, and that has been the pillar of our vision and mission on this channel. So we've been doing that. But then we will go out and make sure that the Nigerian people get the right information, even on that day, as a solidarity for our nation. But the question I'm asking is that the Nigerian nation is already in a dire situation. If you shut down aspects of the economy or aspects of our polity, it then means that things will go wrong. And that's why I'm saying it might be extreme. Things are already bad. Is there any other or possibility of any options other than shutting down everything like you planned?
This will get worse for which people? The economy is down for which people? Those of us that can't move from one point to the other. I think you should get it from that perspective. The resources of the state, who is it meant for? Is it not for the people? And the people are not receiving it. It's good we look at it from that point of view. You are telling me that the economy of Nigeria is down. If you must situate it as being down, then it then means the workers are down. They can't go out. And I think it's part of the responsibility of the media, which happen to be my primary constituency, will be to ask the government that 3 months after the removal of fuel subsidy, what have you done? In fact, this conversation should have been for the operators of the state, to explain to Nigerians what they have been expecting Nigerian people, what they have been expecting the masses, to be doing in these past 3 months. Why it should be, even some of them should go into the aspect of even demolishing houses meant for these workers, creating more hardship, creating a class war between the rich and the poor, and the level of even allocation of resources for those in National Assembly. At the point you are telling me that the economy is down, at the point that the worker cannot feed, at the point he cannot enter taxi, are they sensitive? Are they insensitive to the plight of the workers, to the economy you are talking of that is down? I don't think that we have to think of one side, the bourgeois side of the economy being down, and not the worker side, not the masses. The masses cannot breathe again.
All right, the president himself said it, that we should allow the poor to breathe. We should not suffocate them. It seems to me that there is even no middle class these days. It's just the poor and the extreme rich. And those of us who belong to the poor, whether or not we are breathing, the nation needs to move forward. And those who are at the end of affairs need to do the right thing to allow the nation itself to breathe. But thank you so much indeed, the NLC President Joe Ajaero, and I wish you and your colleagues the best if it's in the interest of our nation, and we know that this nation will be great again. Thank you so much, Joe Ajaero, President of the NLC.
Thank you, Shem.
Appreciate it.
Bless you.